thought I'd come on here and just talk about gear a little bit. Like my journey with gear. I've had a kind of an odd experience with...
In 1,000 feet, turn right onto Traceton Boulevard Northwest.
Sorry, I got my GPS on here. Just moved up to this area 3 months ago. It's going to be probably a couple years before I figure out exactly where I'm going. My podcast, YouTuber life, whatever you want to call it, with gear has been, like I said, been an interesting journey. It really hasn't been a smooth sailing. I didn't get into YouTubing or podcasting, whatever you want to call it, with the idea of purchasing gear before I started. I just started with an iPhone and an iPad, and those were things that I was probably already going to have to begin with. I had a job at the time that I had just started that allowed me to be able to use electronic devices because it was an overnight shift, and there was enough downtime that they didn't want you falling asleep, so they allowed you to get on your device to be able to stay awake. It just wasn't in the game plan for me to, at that point in time, to buy things like a microphone or a computer or any kind of real setup, or even a desk and a set place to do it. Since I was doing basically audio only, I would just do it in my bedroom, or if nobody was home, I would do it in the living room, and I'd go from there. And how I would do it was just record a phone call using my phone put up to my iPad, and then when I would edit it, I would take that voice memo file, the MP3 file, and then edit the MP3 file, and then use pictures that the interviewee would provide me. Those that don't know me, I'm Sean from the Bulldog Social Club podcast, and my main channel is about all things dogs, mainly people that are dog breeders, serious dog breeders, dog professionals that heavily rely on dog breeding and canine genetics and things like that. So that's what I would do. And that's how I would make it a visual YouTube video. So like I said, it really wasn't a thing for me to really pay attention to all the latest and greatest microphones or audio interfaces or computers or anything like that. I just was going off of my passion and using what was readily available and easy. And that was easy for me. I didn't have to do a lot of thinking, and I was editing videos through iMovie. I learned iMovie, which is really simple. So I got okay with iMovie. I just did very simple edits with iMovie. I still do very simple edits. I don't do anything crazy. I don't use iMovie anymore, but I use another very, very simple software that's just probably a step up from my movie, but not by much. But anyway, so I did that for 4.5 years, and then finally I was getting enough complaints about my audio, and I was realizing that the people that I looked up to in the podcasting YouTuber world were people that were really focusing on that, and I was really getting to the idea, going back and listening to some of my episodes, things were a little harsh to the ears, and I figured I better step up my game here. And I had it in my mind at that particular moment in time when I decided, hey, I'm going to go make some purchases and take this a little bit more serious. I had it in my mind that this was important to me. Make some strides and take some levels up. Gear is one of those things that is probably going to help me out in the long run and legitimize me in some shape or form and give me the opportunity to grow and maintain an audience and not turn people away with things like bad audio, and then also give me the opportunity to add the visual side of the interview, which I like watching video podcasts where you're getting to see both participants or all the participants on screen. I think it just adds to the conversation. You get to see people's facial expressions, body language, and if something is important is said, and it just adds to the drama of the situation, or something's funny, it adds to the comedic value of it, or it just adds to the emotional side of the interview if you get to see people's faces and expressions and all of that. But then let's say I don't want to pay attention to it, I don't have to, right? I can still listen to it, but it gives added value to your podcast, in my opinion. So I was deciding that, hey, I wanted to do that, and I was going to do that. And when I start to buy gear, one of the things that I do when I buy gear is I do a lot of research, and I try to find the gear that's going to best suit my use case scenario, and that is plug and play, and that's going to give me the most bang for my buck. I know that's like everybody under the sun, right? That's how they go about making their purchases. But it really is, that's how I look at it. I don't necessarily need the latest and greatest, or
in a quarter mile, turn right onto Pine Road Northeast,
or the most hyped piece of tech out there or gear out there. I just need something that's going to work well for me, and it could be the thing that isn't supposed to be the top tier. It may not be the Ferrari of computers or anything like that. I just needed a machine that was going to work and work for more than a few years, and not give me a lot of headaches, and that I could plug it in and play and not worry about a lot of things, and maximize my use case scenario. And I looked at PCs, I looked at a lot of that, but obviously since I already had an iPhone and an iPad, it just made sense to stay within the Apple ecosphere, and honestly their computers are second to none, especially for my use case scenarios. And
in a quarter mile, turn left onto Pearl Street.
You just can't beat Mac computers. They work well. If you're not using them for things like gaming or other
turn left onto Pearl
use cases that I would never use them for,
in 1,000 feet, turn left onto Bledsoe Avenue.
You just don't need them. I just don't see the necessity of a PC. Eventually, for me, as I'm addicted to gear, I'm the first one to admit it, so I would love to have a dual setup and maybe eventually I'll be able to afford a dual setup. But so I did a lot of research. I found the computer that would work best for me was obviously a MacBook Pro M2. I paid a little extra to get the 16 gigabyte version, which I'm glad I did. I think it's going to give me a little bit of extra longevity with it. But then I was like, okay, I've got the computer, I've got everything that I need on that level. Now I need the microphone. And so I went down the rabbit hole. I mean, and that's when I discovered the YouTube microphone community, the reviewers. And I got completely enthralled with everybody in that sphere. And I was like, oh man, this is crazy. So I found a bunch of YouTubers. I can name them off, and someday I probably will. But I watched tons and tons of reviews, and I just came to the conclusion. I just spent a good chunk of change on the computer. Where am I going to go for a microphone? And over and over at this particular point in time, 2023, the AM8, the Fifine AM8 was the microphone that got a lot of attention from people, and even from some serious people that had discerning ears, that were serious microphone folks. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to try this out. It's USB-C. I don't need an audio interface. I don't need the XLR wire. And that was a big thing for me at the time. I didn't want that. I didn't want to deal with that. That was just another added headache for me at the time. So I went in and I grabbed, I ordered the AM8. And I got it and I plugged it in, and man, was I happy with that microphone. It was great. I did probably 6 months, a year with that microphone. I did several interviews, several talking heads, and it just was a great microphone. But then I got addicted to the YouTube microphone reviewer ecosphere, and I'll tell you, the more and more I watched it, the more and more I got fear of missing out, and I started to realize, maybe I shouldn't be afraid of XLR mics. So I decided that I was going to buy the Fifine SC3 and then the K669D, which they had a combination deal, and I bought that. Because it was inexpensive and it got great ratings. The K669D did, and I bought that, and holy moly, I was completely enthralled with the K669D. What a great microphone. And that's the only XLR mic I have at this point right now. And I really like that microphone. I think it's one of the best microphones. Like I bought the LCT 240 Pro. I've had a couple of really decent handhelds. But for the bang for your buck, the K669D at this point in time is my favorite microphone. Probably even over the AM8. That's a tough call, but probably over the AM8, mainly over because of the design of the microphone. The AM8 for me is a great microphone, and I love the sound of it. It's just the overall design is a little awkward, but the K669D is just, it's more of a classic style microphone, and so I like that look in the microphone, and the sound is fantastic. I bought that, and I was super enthralled with the SC3. Like, it was so fun to push the buttons and get all the different little funny voices and be able to play around with that was fun, and having used to being able to use the different use case scenarios, being able to have an XLR mic and all of that. The fact that I was paying attention to all these review channels and stuff, they came up with the Focusrite Vocaster 2, and there was a big sale. I don't know if it was Amazon Prime Days or what it was, but there was a big sale, and it was on sale at the time for like $100, and so I figured, well, let me step up my game a little bit, and maybe this has a little bit better preamps, and because I was learning about that sort of stuff, and maybe step up my game on some microphones. And so I bought that, and then I explored. I went on to Amazon, and I got an AKG handheld mic. I got a Mackie mic handheld. I got an SE V2 switch with the switch mic. I liked all of those. They were just solid, $50 handheld mics. And then the K669D, and then I had the AM8, and then I went with the LCT 240 Pro, and that was going to be my mainstay microphone. But from day one, the Vocaster 2 could not handle the LCT 240 for whatever reason. I would get this crappy static, and it just didn't seem like it had enough juice. Maybe my setup wasn't right, too much interference from the devices, but I think it was just the Vocaster could not handle that. It just didn't have enough. It's a hard microphone to really power, from what I've heard for some people, and it's temperamental, and that's probably partly why a lot of people don't use it, because it's a great sounding microphone and it's only $100. So why don't more people use it? It's probably because it's pretty temperamental. But anyway, so I was really disappointed with that. And when we moved out here, so for 2 years I was just trying all these different microphones, and I really got into the XLR mics, but I didn't get so deep into it that I was going out and buying like really expensive microphones, because I got really disappointed with the LCT 240. So I didn't really want to make the step up in the game, especially since the AM8 and the K669D was so good. And like, why am I worried about spending a ton of money on a microphone when I can get really good, decent sound that most people, especially in the realm that I'm in the dog world, people don't care about what kind of microphone I have, and they're not going to be that discerning of the sound, where they're going to say, oh, that's not a high-end microphone. And I think even most people, audiophile type folks, wouldn't know that it wasn't a high-end sound. They may know my audio setup wasn't high-end, but the microphone sounds really good. So the moral of the story, what I'm trying to get at here, is just like, gear is one, what you make of it, and two, there's a lot of good stuff out there for not high-end prices. You just have to find the good stuff. And like, I'm really into IEMs, and a lot of people don't like them because they bother them, but like, stuff like this, like $30 can get you better sound than my AirPods. Yeah, it's wired. Yeah, it's a pain in the neck sometimes when you're wanting to do some housework or something, and it's just easier to put in your Bluetooth. But when I want like really quality sound, I pick something like this up, that's just like, there's so much out there today. And the negative is if you're a gadget gearhead like me, you're gonna go broke because it's gonna be like a death by 1,000 cuts, because I'm gonna buy 1,000 $30 items instead of one $3,000 item. But it's just, for me, it's just important that we look at everything with a perspective. And when does it make sense to take that step up and that leap into something new? And when is gear going to help you advance in this? And what I can say to you, I think what me taking the leap with buying the computer, getting the microphones, taking the chance on Fifine and products like that, what it did for me was it gave me a sense of legitimacy. But at the end of the day, it didn't get me more views. It just gave me a better workflow and a better opportunity to put a better foot forward, getting those newer viewers and maintaining people with decent sound and decent quality of picture and all of that. And even when, like I said, 2 years ago, when I took that major step by getting the computer and utilizing microphones, and then streaming software like Restream. I've been a Restream. I've used Restream as my subscription base of recording and streaming interviews and stuff for about 2 years now. Well, a little over 2 years. I've used a couple others, but I've never given up Restream. It's given me a better opportunity to add a little legitimacy on that level. But at the end of the day, it doesn't change your passion for what you're doing and what you're trying to accomplish. You can't replicate that. Gear is just only a tool for you to share your passion. It's just the tool. It's not what's inside you. And when you do this stuff, start slow, start logically, but don't overthink it. Don't go so deep where you're trying to maximize any output at this point in time. Get yourself a good Fifine mic. Get yourself a decent computer or a tablet, whatever it is. Use your iPhone or your good Android and go from there, and then just get it going, and let your passion take over, and then learn the idiosyncrasies on what is important in this thing that we call content creation, and eventually, things will become clearer to you. I'm 7 years in, and I'm still learning, and I still don't have it figured out, and I still don't know exactly the direction that I'm going to go. I just know that I still have the passion inside me. I'm still going to try to grow. I'm still going to utilize gear in some shape or form. I'm going to want to learn and take the next step up on things. And with this channel that I'm in here, it's the evolution of Sean O'Brien and his content creation journey. And let's see where it takes me. Let's see where it goes. I'm not here to pretend that I'm going to be the next whoever you can think of with 1 million subscribers. That's not who I'm trying to be. I'm trying to be the best I can be and maximize my abilities and really scratch that creative itch that I have and that passion that I have for YouTube. So I will talk to you later.